How's it going? Hope you're having a great day so far. In today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about a topic that I learned from Jordan Peterson in one of his, I think it was a lecture that he was giving to a bunch of students. And he was basically talking about ways to effectively argue, especially with somebody that um, you care about, or somebody that you want it to resolve in a manner where both sides are satisfied. And this has personally helped me in my life, both in my professional and personal life, because I use it pretty much. I try to use it pretty much every time I get into an argument with somebody. But the whole premise of the, I guess, talk or the lecture that he gave was to avoid using a strawman fallacy against another person's argument, especially if it's somebody that you care about. And if you truly want to convince them of something or beat them in a particular argument or have them see your side or their point, you really should first seek to understand and strengthen their argument and then use that as, I guess, a way to build up your own argument. So the thing about arguments that a lot of people often overlook is that generally when arguments start, the other person just really wants to be heard. And you don't necessarily have to agree with that person, but hearing them out generally is oftentimes satisfactory for that person. So, what Jordan Peterson suggests that you do when you're in this situation is that when somebody gives you an argument, it's to genuinely listen to their argument. Usually when people argue, if they are, not, I guess, well versed in debating and stuff like that, which most people aren't, then they will kind of go on a rant or a story. And it's your job as the listener or somebody who actually cares about the other person and what they are upset about. It's your job to kind of work through that with them and connect the points in a succinct manner. Once their argument is done, make sure that you have fully comprehended what it was that they're saying. You take their ideas and you repeat it back to them until you get to a point where that they are satisfied with your comprehension of what they said. So for instance, if somebody told an entire story, trying to argue about, I don't know, maybe dishes are needing to be cleaned, and when you repeat it back to them, and you can say basically, so you're upset because of X, Y, and Z, and so you want me to do A, B, and C to fix X, Y, and Z. And if they say yes, that is, you know, what my argument is, then you've achieved some sort of understanding. And it also kind of gets them off of a defensive mode because they know that you understand where they're coming from. And it better allows you to address the argument in a way that it gives way to actual solutions as opposed to spinning in circles and ultimately, most likely just accelerating the argument into, potentially a yelling match or an argument where things that are outside of the context start being brought in and you guys are kind of just insulting each other. So the thing that makes this so strong is that, for one, instead of making their argument or their case for their argument really weak, you help strengthen and solidify it. You also have a better understanding of why they're upset, where their argument is coming from. And then whenever you can bring up your argument or your points, there's a much higher chance that the other person will be way more receptive to what you have to say because you were receptive to what they had to say. And it's basically the golden rule that majority of people are taught in school is, treat people the way you want to be treated. Well, if somebody's arguing with you and you think they're wrong and you want them to understand and agree with your point, but you don't give them a chance to state their opinion, but also be understood or heard, do you really think they're going to care whether or not your argument is right or wrong when the way you approached it, you were dismissive and rude? If you just put two and two together, obviously they're not going to be very responsive to that. and you'll probably just make them a little bit more stubborn or set in their beliefs to begin with. However, if you take the other approach and you just focus on making sure that you fully understand and comprehend their side of the argument so you can understand their pain points and where they're coming from, you can more so get to this point of almost agreement where you both are mutually understanding each other, and instead of thinking the other person is an idiot or continuing this argument of just spinning your wheels, you guys can actually come down to actual solutions and make progress in your relationship. So this was just a pretty helpful topic or concept that, again, it came from one of Jordan Peterson's lectures, and he's famous, kind of infamous, I guess, for some different takes he has, but nonetheless, I think it's some pretty valuable information that it's applicable anywhere. You can apply this in a job, with your personal relationships, your friendships, stuff like that. I would suggest you give it a try. If next time you find yourself arguing with somebody, just take a step back, slow it down, see if you can understand what kind of points that they're making. You can understand how they, got to feeling that way, and see if you can resolve the actual conflict with a solution. Aside from that, I just want to say thank you for watching my video, and I will see you again in the next one.